Today, we learned that consumers did not spend as much as they were expected to last month. And that's important because consumer spending makes up about 70% of economic activity. Inflation was flat. The central bank wants to see that pick up. Industrial production contracted, as did a read on manufacturing activity in the New York area. So we have two reports tonight. Bob Pisani on the rally in stocks. But first, Steve Liesman on what's going on with the economy.
A massive amount of data released today that investors hope would clarify the economic situation. Instead, it left the outlook just as murky as it was before. Retail sales came in worse than expected as the consumer took an August spending pause, though their purchases in the current quarter remained strong. Factories seem to pause with the consumer as industrial production registered a 0.4% decline. And two closely watched regional manufacturing indices, they split, one up, one down, and jobless claims came in better than expected. That suggests the jobs market remains strong and consumers should have the wherewithal to spend in the future. Add it all up, and GDP forecasts for the third quarter, they still look fairly robust at 2.8% growth, but down just a little bit. Hopes for clarity were high, though, as investors are still on edge about what the Federal Reserve will do at its meeting next week, hike rates or not. After the data, Fed funds futures, they suggested just an 11% chance of a hike next week. December seems to be the more likely bet.
In the face of lackluster data that we've seen over the last 2 weeks, the Fed rhetoric hasn't changed. And I think we're paying too much attention to the fact that we've got a Fed that wants to get away from emergency levels of monetary policy, agnostic of data. So we're probably going to see an increase in rates, and it probably happens in December. And the market, has got a mixed message there. That's not data dependency, but it's also a Fed that clearly has waited too long and wants to get another rate hike in 2016.
One more data point tomorrow, the Consumer Price Index, but only an outsized increase in inflation will be seen as strong enough to tip the scales to a September hike. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Steve Liesman.